welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Money. I am Money T.
And I am Simply C.
So, you guys, once again, we want you to subscribe, share, and like. Hit the bell notification so that you will be alerted whenever we have new content, which is every Monday at 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. You don't want to miss the wonderful guests that we have that spreads good information and knowledge that helps build our community.
Amen. Well, we continue given November today, and we are talking with LaTayna Lipprand. She is the founder of Marlene's Kaleidoscope, which is an organization that is dedicated to improving the lives of people affected by all types of lupus. They are striving to empower people by providing information about lupus and offering support to hear their voices and offer a better quality of life through research, public awareness, advocacy, and education. LaTayna, welcome to Let's Talk Money.
Hello, hello.
Hi.
Hello there.
How's everybody doing?
Awesome.
Great.
Thank you for having me.
So glad that you decided to come on and share your foundation with us.
Great.
So if we could just start off by you telling us what lupus is.
Well, lupus is an autoimmune disease. With that said, it can attack any part of your body. It affects mostly women and African American women, believe it or not. Is a high number of that has lupus. So I tell people, look at lupus like this. Lupus is our immune system is thinking that we're foreign, like we're fighting ourselves, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So it's like if you have a cold and your body tries to fight it off, saying, hey, something foreign there, this isn't right. Well, we're like that 24 hours a day.
Wow.
Most of the time, most people with lupus is, again, mostly women. 95% is mostly African American or non-white women, which nobody knows why. There is no cure for lupus. Can you live with lupus? Yes, but there's no cure. This year alone, there's two drugs have been is up for approval for lupus. Most of the time, it takes 6 to 7 years or more to be diagnosed, because most of that falls in the insurance company. If you don't have all 11 signs, what they consider the signs of lupus, then a doctor cannot diagnose you of lupus. Most people get diagnosed with everything but lupus, and lupus is always the last thing. My experience finds that a lot of doctors don't know that much about lupus, and that's one of the reasons.
Okay.
And another reason is because it is so prominent in the African American, we sometimes don't have the privilege for doctors to actually listen to us and understand us. So that's one of our things we try to do with patients. We will go to the doctor's visits with them and say, hey, let me talk to you, listen to what they're saying. Because to me, if you ever see me speak, I'll call it the listening disease. Because if the doctors are not really listening to you, they don't know if you have the 11 signs. And so with that, if someone's there with you to advocate with you, most of the times the doctors kind of listen to you. And they go, oh, so you brought someone else here with you.
Right.
Lupus, 1.5 million people have lupus in the United States. Lupus, again, can hit anyone. Male, it's like a 1 to 2% chances as a male that you get it. And usually when it's male have it, it's really prominent in their family and women. But most of the time you get a lot of men that get it from what they call medical induced lupus. Now, so it's not that many. I think it's more than they expect. But with the stats they have right now. So basically, your autoimmune system is overworking itself. It's thinking that you're foreign, saying, "Hey, this is an infection in me, and I got to get rid of it." But it's really not. They don't. Your body just don't know the better.
That's crazy.
That is very interesting. I honestly, I didn't know all of the ins and outs of what lupus is.
And one thing
So
I would like people to know also, once you're usually diagnosed with lupus, lupus is not the only issue or autoimmune disease you have. Most people that have lupus have probably about 4 or 5 different autoimmune diseases, and also have other diseases that kind of counteract, like diabetes, heart disease, lung disease, and things like that. A lot of people think arthritis is lupus, and it's not. Arthritis is a symptom.
Symptom of lupus.
wow. So lupus causes a lot of other symptoms
Mm-hmm.
basically in your body.
Yes. Like most of the people, like, and I try to break it down. A lot of people, I don't give a lot of stats, because stats to me, people can't embrace it or really understand it. So what I like to do is give a life experience.
Right.
For me, if you heard me speak, it took almost 7 years for me to get diagnosed. I got diagnosed right after my son. While I was pregnant with my son, I was considered high risk, and they couldn't understand. All my labs looked normal, but if you looked at me, you knew I wasn't normal.
Mm-hmm.
So once I had my son, I kept going back to the doctor. They told me I was a hypochondriac, and that's a lot of times lupus patient get. You're a hypochondriac, or you're seeking drugs when you go to the emergency room. And I remember I locked up, and people, what I mean by lock up, I mean I literally can't move. My joints, everything's just locked. And my baby was maybe 6 months, and I could hear him crying, but I couldn't move. I know my buddy cried for over 2 hours. My neighbor came home, said, older lady, she was like, why she got that baby crying? I hear her upstairs. I start screaming. With that said, the fire had to come. Police and everybody came. They had to kick my door in to get me and my baby. Get me to the hospital. Still can't move. They give us this wonderful drug called prednisone. And within 30 minutes, my joints start moving. Mm-hmm. They told me I was acting. And the fire he was like, no, she wasn't acting. And I said, I don't know what's wrong with me.
Right.
But I get this all the time. Oh, you might want to go check yourself in. What?
Wow.
No, the mental. So luckily, long story short, I end up changing insurance. It was a doctor called Dr. Vogelstein. She basically saved my life. She promised me she was going to figure out what was wrong. And she went to a conference on lupus. And she called me. She said, I think I know what you have. And I was so excited. And she said, but I need you to go to I need you to go to the hospital and get checked in right now. I'm at work. I work nights at the time. I'm like, okay, I'll go in the morning. No, I need you now. Actually, they sent the ambulance to me. And when I got there and they ran all my tests, the next day she came looking at me like I was about to die. She said, I know what you have. She says, there's no cure. And we're giving you 3 years to live. Because all my organs at the time was shutting down. Mm-hmm. They didn't know why my organs were shutting down. And I was like, excuse me? I said, so I have cancer. Nope. I said, well, if it's not cancer, then you can give me a pill. She says, no, there's no cure. So imagine that, getting that, and you got a little baby.
Right.
That's how devastating lupus is. And make it long story short, really, that made me want to live because of my baby. And that's one thing about any autoimmune, any disease, you want to live. And to me, what made me want to live was my son. And it took, yeah. And I passed that 3 years. Now I'm 30. So
say hallelujah.
And everybody is different.
Yeah.
But if you start talking to people who have lupus, it's like no one understands us.
Yeah.
But with that said, they don't understand this because we're not talking. And that's the problem we're having in Kansas City. Kansas City has a lot of people. I know you probably know 1 or 2 people that have lupus. And they don't talk about it. They keep it to themselves. Because if I tell you I hurt, I'm so, fatigue is huge. I mean, you can't, you just like, I can't. And you hear people saying that, you like, you can't be that tired. But it's a real thing.
For real.
And you hear people keep telling you, oh, you can't be like that. Oh, you can't be that bad. We get to the point you don't want to talk about it. And what we need to do here in Kansas City, honestly, we need to start talking about it. Last year, not from COVID, we had 5 people that passed away just from complications of lupus.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
So I guess that would just take me into how and why did you start your foundation?
Why is because I got extremely sick. I had to go on disability. After I start feeling well enough, I still have people calling me saying, hey, my sister just got diagnosed. My son just got diagnosed. I had doctors that are friends of mine calling me saying, hey, Tanya, tell me about your symptoms, because I think I might have a patient that's like that. And one day my oldest brother said, because he kept saying, where are you going? I kept saying, I'm going to a doctor with a friend of mine. I'm going to a doctor with this lady. I'm going to a doctor. And he says, why don't you start your own stuff? I don't have time for that. I don't have time. But as I got to the doctor's office and people were not listening to these patients, I was like, nope, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
So I started up and it's been hard because I tell people I'm telling you about something that people can't see. And people are like, well, I can't see it. For example, most people, you tell people about cancer because you know there's a tumor, there's something foreign that you could see that's in that person's body. Right. Well, I have a thing that we are the tumor that our body thinks we are. Our body thinks we're a tumor and it says something's wrong. So I started, and then the first year was like, wow, people don't know. Pretty much 2/3 of the people in the United States before our last president did not know what lupus was. He started talking about lupus because, he told y'all to take our medicine. And the medicine that keeps us, so Plaquenil is most of the times, if they can tolerate it, Plaquenil is one of the medicines that you take every day. It is what it is. Plaquenil is a transplant medicine. Is usually, if people get transplants, what they take the rest of their life. But it has been proven to help people with lupus. So with that said, last year with COVID, a lot of people were calling me, okay, tell me about lupus. So COVID is just like lupus? Nope, not at all. And if you look at the symptoms compared to COVID and lupus, it mirrors. The only difference is you might have they tell you about your sinuses and a cold. But it mirrors. It mirrors perfectly.
Really?
So when you go to a doctor and says, do you have all these symptoms? Yep, sure do. They look at me and I go, oh, I got lupus. They go, oh, okay, never mind. So that's where I started. Hopefully I can keep it growing. We have a campaign called Let's Get the Conversation Started. Got some big things happening next year. So we just need to start talking about it here in Kansas City, because if we don't, a lot of people is going to keep dying. A lot of the hospitals and doctors are not going to listen to us. And that's what I want to do, is just get the word out.
Okay. So basically the foundation is basically an educational movement, or?
Well, we're education, both patient, community, and we're starting to do it. Next year, we're going to do our first. We have 4 lunch and learns with doctors' offices. So that's a blessing. What we also do, we help with medicine. We help with copay. We help, like right now I'm dealing with a young lady, have no insurance, trying to get her on the marketplace. But for right now, next week, we will go to a doctor that I'm paying out of pocket, well, we're paying out, Marlene's is, just for her to get stable. She's going to be able to see a rheumatologist to get her stable. So we do things like that. We send out love baskets to hospitals and homes. All you got to do is contact us. Yeah.
Wow.
So I'm interested in some of the treatments, just to go back just a little bit. What do they just treat your symptoms? How do you get treated?
Well, you just treat symptoms. That's basically it. Most of the, like I said, there's several different medicines. You got a methotrexate, you have plaquenil. The major drug that most people are on is prednisone, some kind of steroids.
Mm-hmm.
Then on top of that, whatever other medicine you might have high blood pressure, you might have diabetes, because if you're on a lot of prednisone, 9 in 10 gonna get some diabetes. You're gonna be on a borderline of diabetic.
Wow.
And that's just that medicine. That is a side effect of that medicine. The other treatment, which I'm blessed enough to be able, one thing I tell people, get a true relationship with your doctor. Because a lot of times, some of the medicines the doctor want to try us on, insurance won't give it to us. Because they saying, you know, they don't need it. I am on a chemo. And like I said, we don't talk about what's going on in our lives. And people that know me know it's a struggle for me to talk about myself, because I'm not here to help myself. I'm here to help everyone else. And I just feel that way. I know that's a little backwards, but it makes my day. But I'm on a chemo. I've been on chemo for over 6 years. The chemo I'm on usually help people with MS, but it's helping me. I have lupus of the lungs, which I use 26% of my lungs. I'm on oxygen every now and then, not much. I have severe joint pain, and I have autoimmune with my bowels, and some of that's because of my medicine. However, that made me have that. But I'm on a chemo that I take. When I first started, I was taking every day. Then you go to once a month, then every 3 months. So now I'm then every 6 months. I used to be on every 6 because I am in a flare up. I'm on every 3 months now. So with you having a good relationship with your doctor, it makes your doctor want to help you. It took my doctor almost a year and a half for me to get this medicine, because the insurance kept saying, no, no, no. Well, she doesn't have MS. Well, it's also can help breast cancer, this one I'm on. Well, she doesn't have breast cancer, but it's proven overseas that it helps. And so once I got on it, it took about a year where I seen a true difference. So if I wouldn't have got that if I didn't have a doctor that would fight for me.
That advocacy is so important. We say the same too with like knowing your banker. Got somebody there to advocate for you. So I kind of equated that, knowing your physician or knowing your doctor, to the same thing, having that voice and somebody there to advocate for you, because they do try to word that documentation so that you get what you want.
Yes. But also on top of that, I do tell people it's called practicing medicine for a reason. They don't know all. So that means you have to advocate for yourself. Like the lady I'm going to the doctor with next week, I have a list. So have you heard of this? Have you heard of that? Have you tested this wood? Have you tested that? Because if you got to stay up, because everything changes throughout every day, basically. And every doctor I come across to, maybe I say 10 doctors, 4 of them really have never dealt with anyone with lupus. And I asked a doctor one time, I said, would you ever actually asked my doctor, would you rather have a cancer patient or a lupus patient? And he said, I'd rather have a cancer patient. I know how to deal with her. I can't deal with lupus because y'all too complex. We don't know what's going to happen to your body today, stay or next day. And I was like, wow. So imagine having lupus, being told, and you hear a doctor telling you that.
Mm-hmm.
That's just now that plays your mental issue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And people with lupus mentally is a very devastating thing.
Yeah.
So.
I can imagine.
That's that unknown. And then
Mm-hmm.
really having not I hate to say this, and I hope I'm wrong, but that it's not a high priority for them.
I don't know. I don't want to put it that way, but I see how where what I'm saying and how you're getting that. I think it's more when it comes to physicians, it's more about training.
Mm-hmm.
It's more about if you have a patient that has that disease, it's just like let's say you have a child and you know your child is a little different or doing something different. And then they tell you he, whatever, has crazy, I don't know, some kind of disease. As a parent, what are you going to do? You're going to learn as much as you can about that. And
Yeah.
that's what doctors have to do, what we want them to do. But being honestly, knowing so many doctors, because how everything is set up, especially with the insurance company, it's hard. If you go to a doctor, you have cancer, you have anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour to see a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
If I go, a new patient for lupus, they're only giving us a 30-minute slot. That's not enough time.
Right.
That's when we give them a book. We give every time. So anytime we meet with someone or you give our love basket, we give everybody a journal. Write down your symptoms. So you could have a symptom today and not have it tomorrow, but still put it down there.
Mm-hmm.
When you go to your doctor and you talk to your doctor and tell them everything that's in your book, write down what the doctor tells you. Because that way you can see things in black and white.
Mm-hmm.
And if you sit there and say, last week you told me this and this week you tell me, I'm not understanding. And we have to hold doctors accountable for what they're saying and coming out their mouths. Most doctors, again, they don't know that much about lupus. I still get my friends from, hey, Tony, so what's that one test your doctor gave you? That's the reason we want to start doing lunch and learns. So I have a couple of doctors that are willing to either record or go and talk to doctors.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we can get the primary doctors to take care of until we could see a rheumatologist, because it takes anywhere with good insurance 3 to 6 months to see a rheumatologist. Now imagine the people we help, how long it takes.
Mm-hmm.
Anywhere up to a year.
Wow.
And if you're going to Truman, not throwing Truman under the bus, you're looking almost a year and a half.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
So one more thing that I'm interested in regards to treatment and things like that, has diet come up in any of those conversations, how you eat and how that plays a role in how you feel?
That's a good question. Personally, yes. I would say yes.
Mm-hmm.
But if you bring it up to a doctor, they're going to tell you no. I am actually working with a doctor that's a plan we're going to put together just for people I help, but eventually maybe put it out there. But I definitely think so. There's a couple things like tomatoes. You need to stay away. Any nightshades, please, most lupus patient fibromyalgia, please stay away from them because that makes your pain worse.
Mm-hmm.
Any white rice, and I love white rice. I do. Just can eat it, just cook it. Sugar. I've seen a lot of people what they would call reverse or because you cannot cure lupus. It can go in remission. And I was in remission for a long time. Vegan and vegetarian has helped a lot of people I knew. So that
says a lot.
Yeah.
And and that's really worth researching, and I mean that says a
Yeah.
whole lot.
Well, for
And
2 weeks, I did it. I did a vegan / vegetarian for 2 weeks. And honestly, within the 4th day, I had no pain. And then I said I was doing it for 2 weeks. And then I went went eating meat. And maybe 4 days after that, I was in a lot of pain.
I believe it makes a difference for sure. I know times we've done the Daniel fast or something, and I do. You just feel so much better
You feel so-
eliminating all these things out of your diet, and yet we go back.
Yeah, we go back.
For
whatever reason, we go back.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna be honest with you. I like meat. Now I don't eat steak anymore. No red meat at all. But I love me a good fish. I love a good lamb burger, turkey burger. I love that. So it's just, and some of it, it's more of a mental thingy, I guess, too.
Sure.
You know, and then stay away from alcohol. Yeah. Anybody see that know me, they probably gonna laugh, but stay away from alcohol. Stay away from alcohol.
No.
When people know me, so I'm being honest. So
we'll edit that. I'm just playing.
No, we won't.
I tell people, when I talk to people, I tell them, one of the corporates, if you really think about it, try to not have as much alcohol, maybe once, twice, whatever, because you'll see a difference. I have a lot of juices. If it's low in sugar, yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, but a lot of sugar. I mean, just stay away from, like they say, all whites. Try to eat as much fiber as you can. Gluten free. Now I tell you, once I started doing gluten free, I felt a lot better.
I need you to tell me about a good gluten free bread. We'll talk later.
But I don't eat bread.
Oh man,
I don't eat bread at all. Never have. So I'm not a big bread person. So I don't.
I am, and I need to find some good gluten free bread.
Well, I will do some research for you.
Oh, thanks.
Well, I think did we talk more about how the community can help, or
we haven't talked about how the community can help, and if you have any fundraising events that are coming up here.
Okay. I can do that real quickly for you. A couple of things. How can the community help? One, people that have lupus, and when I say people that have lupus, that means if you have lupus or your family member has lupus or you just want to help, one of the things is talk. Have a conversation about lupus. Tell people and let them understand what lupus is. Because I'll tell you right now, when I first got married, my husband knew I had lupus, but he didn't know what that meant until I went into a flare-up. And he was like, holy moly. I told everything, my body, everything. He was like, what the? And he told me, he says, looking at you, you don't look sick. Jim Nunley told me one day, we were at an event a couple months ago, and he pulled me to the side and he said, you make sick look good. I used to be offended by that, but now I go, thank you. He said, you make it look so easy. And I said, but it's not. But you got to get up every morning and smile and keep going. So the community, we need to talk about it. Doctors need to know more about it. Doctor needs to know there's classes out there that they could take to help them that actually will, most of the time, the hospital they work for, the office, doctor's office will pay for. Again, but that makes the doctor needs to find the time to do that. You know what I'm saying? Doctors are not just there for their patients. They got families, they got everything. And I'm kind of catched in 22 because I got a lot of doctor friends and I'm also a patient. And I'll be like, well, why don't you do that? And why don't you do that? It's just not enough time in a day. And then the strengths of the insurance company also. So talk about lupus. Understand what lupus is. Now, with that said, people always ask me, is there a Lupus Foundation here in Kansas City? It's not in Kansas City, but it's based out of St. Louis, and it's over Missouri, some of Kansas, and Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
And anytime they have the pretty much same thing I do or in more. So I tell people always contact them first. And the reason is, especially if you need money or stuff like that, because they have way more than what I have. But we do talk to each other, and they'll call me and say, hey, Tanya, we have this person. This is what's going on. And we kind of work together to help out throughout the community. One of the things that most people think about, they says, well, if they're not here, what are they doing? And that's another reason I started Marlene's Kaleidoscope, because I'm here in Kansas City. I'm here to help Kansas City, the greater Kansas City. That's what I do.
So tell me how the community can help your foundation, and where can they go to give and all that good stuff.
Well, one of the things that we can do, right now we did partnership with Samuel Rogers, so we're going to help them feed 100 families for Thanksgiving. We have another project is for Christmas, for the holidays. And what we're doing is adopting up to 4 families, and we're going to make them have a wonderful Christmas. Last year we did 2 families, so we upped it to 4. Basically what that means is we give gift cards for a local grocery store near them, and then we try to get, if you have kids, 1 or 2 gifts per family members. So if you would like to help us with that, you can contact me. I'll tell you what we need, or you can go to, or you can send us gift cards, or you can just go donate to Marlene's Kaleidoscope, and that would be, you'll go to MK for Lupus. It's MK for the number 4, lupus.org, and on our donation page you can donate there. Also, another way, if you know someone that has lupus, that want to tell their story, we're going to start that up the first of the year. And once a month, we're going to talk to a lupus patient, a lupus caregiver, a lupus children. Because I didn't know how hard it was on my son until he got older, and he told me how every day he said, Mom, I didn't know if he was going to live today or tomorrow. He said, you was always in the bed. I couldn't, people didn't understand why you couldn't come to my events. And that bothered me. But you never look at it that way when you're going through it. And you're just doing the best you can. So that's one of the couple of things you can help us with. If you need us to come to your office, your church, anywhere to talk, we'll be there. Just let us know.
Good stuff.
Well, you definitely don't look like what you've been through, and just thank God for that covering, and just bringing you through this far. We really appreciate you coming and talking to our listeners. And again, to our listeners, here's another amazing organization that is assisting people in our community. So if God moves your heart, please, again, send your donation or reach out to LaTayna. And what's your website again?
It is MK4, the number 4, lupus.org.
Okay. And we'll put it in the description also.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, Tanya, thank you.
Well, thank you. And I did go back and listen to the podcast. I don't know if this is what this is called. Of your stuff. I actually sent something to my son and my godson on a budget 101.
Yes, good.
I'm tired of being in the bank, so I do appreciate that.
Hey.
Which is amazing. So also thank you for doing this. I also listened to your last podcast with the ladies' house, which I did last week. And actually sent that to someone. Hopefully they did contact her or contact the organization. So
Yeah.
that's another thing. I'm not afraid to share. I like to help other people.
Yes,
Whatever you need me to do, I'm going to do it. I'm going to try to make it happen.
That's right.
Oh, next year, exciting, really exciting. We're doing it Taco Tuesday.
Oh,
You can come. You can
Girl,
come
you know
down
I love
here.
the tacos now.
Oh, we're gonna do Taco Tuesday. So basically, we get on a bus and ride around the city and eat tacos and drink tequila. Uh, so, and also in October, we would do the wine festival. We did it
Okay.
this year. It was wonderful. Get on a train, we take it down there, and we have a good time.
Down
At the
where?
wine, Weston. No,
Okay.
Weston. Herman,
Herman, Missouri.
Missouri.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we're working with them that you will be able to spend a night if you want to. Some people were like, man, I don't want to stay. I want to, we should have booked a room. So we're going to have all these little things people been asking that wanted to do last year. Hopefully we'll have this year.
That's awesome. That's
So
awesome.
look
So
for
have a
something.
good time and help the organization.
Yes,
That
yes.
is awesome. I love it. I
Yes.
love it. T, you got anything else?
that's it.
All right.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank
We
you, beautiful
appreciate it.
ladies, and thank you for all y'all do.
Thank you. See
Thank
you later.
See ya.
Bye.
Hey guys, and thank you once again for tuning in to Let's Talk Money.
You can find us here every Monday at 8 a.m. Central Standard Time.
Yes, so be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification so that you will be alerted every time new content is aired.
Come on, y'all. Tell your mom and them, your cousin them, all of them.
Tell them all.
Tell them to subscribe and listen to Let's Talk Money.
Yes, and be sure to leave us some comments. Chat with us. We'll be chatting live at times, so chat with us.
Hey, remember your money's mindset matters.
As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he.
Peace, y'all.
Peace.